Big win for the Indiana Fever over the washed Vegas Aces. I kid, but the Aces looking a little long in the tooth there in Vegas. That team, that core, just kind of sputtering at this point in time, slow-footed, and that's where I thought that the Fever could take advantage of the Aces, and they did, and Indiana moved quickly. They moved with purpose. They get another big game from Kelsey Mitchell in this one, who continues to just prove that she is a baller, a hooper, and a bona fide bucket. Not that anybody needed to see more of that, but 21 points from Kelsey Mitchell. Took a lot of shots to get there, but nonetheless, got it done in the end. And it was a balanced effort from the Fever. Natasha Howard with a big game. Aaliyah Boston contributing as well. Sophie Cunningham has been on a heater. Ari McDonald hits the dagger. And these are the kind of wins that will allow the Fever to tread water until Caitlyn Clark can return, because I do take the most recent Caitlyn Clark injury update as a positive one. So when you look at, what's going on in this game, you have what I said about Kelsey Mitchell, and not the most efficient shooting night for her, but nonetheless, she was able to drive and finish and get some big buckets in this game and show off her speed, which puts the Aces at a disadvantage. Nice screen from Howard there, actually, as Kelsey gets underneath. And Natasha Howard had the big first half in particular and was big early in the game. Sophie Cunningham, as I mentioned, her shooting has started to come around. She is hitting shots at a better clip now. That's the way shooting works, by the way. She was bound to go back to her averages after struggling. So that's a nice sight for the Indiana Fever to see. Another nice sight for the Fever to see was this from Cece hopping off the bench. You don't want to read too much into it, but it's something, right? Obviously, she gets a little frustrated with the officials, and Stephanie White was frustrated with the officials in this game as well. But you see Caitlyn hop right to her feet there with no hesitation. Right up. That, again, you can be injured and that can happen, but not moving too gingerly there on the sideline was Caitlyn Clark, which is another positive sign for the Fever. Stephanie White actually talked about the injury to Clark before the game, and I thought, she had some telling comments too. Here's some of what the coach had to say before the tip-off. This in particular, specifically citing it as a relief that the injuries were not worse than they initially thought. Here's Coach.
Yeah, it's definitely a relief to know that there's nothing else going on and no more damage. Now it's just being patient with the process.
Being patient with the process, and where is that process at? Well,
yeah, just obviously there's no timeline for Caitlyn, but what has she been able to do this last week? Is it mostly just rehab recovery, or has she been able to do any kinds of practice?
Yeah, no, I mean, we haven't really practiced since the couple days before All-Star break. So mostly rehab, shooting, and she's been with our athletic training team, and we've been preparing everybody else.
So she's been with the athletic training team, and we've been preparing everybody else, mostly rehab and shooting. So what do I take from those comments? I do take something from those comments, because what does that mean? It means that, one, she's not shut down, which is significant. She is rehabbing her injury, which you rehab for the intent of a return. She's also shooting, which means she's not just sitting there doing nothing. Those are not small details. I think Caitlyn Clark is going to be back sooner than people are at least putting out there in the universe, online and social media, and with the no timetable thing. I don't want to put a timetable on it. I don't want to say, next week or something like that. But sooner than this general sentiment seems to be. Like she's going to miss the season. I don't see that at all in what I've heard or what you're hearing from the team or the message that was put out there. But the team has started to learn to play without Clark. They've done it more often, which was another part of what the coach said before the contest as well.
To that point, in what ways does, although it's not complete clarity, but now you can, to some extent, kind of move on and say, hey, this is what we have for the time being. Let's move forward. What can that do over these next several weeks or whatever it takes?
Yeah, I think that's big. Just the mindset of our group to know that we've got what we've got. to continue to grow and connect in those ways, and not is she available, is she not available, will she practice, will she not practice, and sort of the disruption that comes with some of that. So there's clarity, and I think that's good for everybody. It's good for Caitlyn too, so she doesn't feel any kind of way. She can just approach and attack her rehab one day at a time.
And the more winning that the Fever can do in that process, the easier it is for Caitlyn Clark to, one, take her time and get back to 100%, and two, come back to a team that's primed to make the run that people were hoping they would make at the beginning of the season. Some other things from this game that stood out to me: Aaliyah Boston shooting the 3-ball. That is the next step in her development. Aaliyah is not hesitating to shoot that, and that could be a huge transformative thing for her game moving forward. We've already seen Boston put the ball on the floor more, which is great, like as sort of the key cogs starting to break, Giannis kind of style. We already seen her as a playmaker. You heard that around the All-Star game and how she could be utilized there. So the development of Aaliyah Boston continues. Then there's Michaela Timpson, who only got spot minutes in this one. You don't want to, blow it out of proportion, but she's got bunnies. She's got hops. You see the potential in those spot minutes where she can eventually develop and help more. But you hope Natasha Howard can bottle some of this. Now, part of my problem with Howard when they're at full strength is she doesn't spread the floor. But when she can do that, quick scavenger stuff, she's really an effective player out there, as she was in this one. 13 points, 18 points, 13 boards, 3 steals. Sort of a little bit of a flashback to the Commissioner's Cup game. The only downside, Lexi Hull really struggled, and Sydney Colson was almost like practicing a slapstick comedy routine out there. I know she did stand up over All-Star weekend, but stepping out of bounds a couple times, unforced turnovers a few times, but a really good win for the Indiana Fever, all things considered. The Aces get 20 points from Asia Wilson, who continues to get a favorable whistle, but that backcourt is kind of barbecue chicken. And Chelsea Gray, Jewel Lloyd hasn't provided what Kelsey Plum did for them. Jackie Young had a good game, and Becky Hammond mentioned before the game how she likes playing in Indiana. I think she was, Miss Indiana basketball at one point before. But nonetheless, that core of the Aces has kind of just been worn out over time, and the Fever wore them out in this game. And I think the way that they played against the Liberty, they collapsed at the end of the third quarter and they collapsed at the fourth quarter. But the way they played against the Liberty and the way that they played against the Aces, the Fever are capable of going on a bit of a run here. They're capable, or when I say run, of beating the teams that they're supposed to in the midst and keeping themselves afloat. Right? And if they can win one or two that you're not expected to win, it just takes the pressure off of Caitlyn Clark for when she does return, and it just raises the ceiling for what the Fever can be once they do get Cece back.